What's up, guys? Back at it with Tuesday's Blues. Another Texas blues legend. My generation and most of our generations of players, we gravitate towards the Chris Duarte, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Gary Moore, some, even in the Kenny Wayne Shepherd vein, Joe Bonamassa. That stuff is very accessible to us now. And I think that because some of that stuff is more accessible, you get a lot of guys that kind of add that more mainstream kind of blues flavor into their playing. A lot of it was, in stores, and you could find that and you could start reading up on it and you could hear, a wailing guitar solo with some distortion on it or a fuzz, and oh man, that stuff is wild. But there was a band that I got turned on to, in my learning, and it was the Fabulous Thunderbirds. And the record that, killed me was Girls Go Wild. And just hearing Jimmy Vaughan and his... When I heard how slick and cool that was, it took a little bit. But once I really understood what was going on and how he was filling in between the singing and the harp playing and, vamping with these... It all clicked, and at one moment, it all kind of made sense. And then I went on a tear, and I started researching guys with that Jimmy Vaughan style, that really cool, really methodical, simple, traditional, but kind of refreshed style. You learn about guys named Ronnie Earl. You learn about guys, Duke Robillard, and you learn about a fellow we're going to talk about today, Mr. Anson Funderburgh. Anson totally embodied his own style, along with paying homage to Jimmy Vaughan, paying homage to that Strat, couple of super reverbs on stage, picking near the bridge, all over, just playing the most melodic. Just that crazy, crazy playing. I love Anson. I love his stuff. Young Jon Hay is a killer player. He's one of my favorite players. I met him last year in Dallas. We hung out a little bit. Shortly after that, we became cousins. And, Jon is just a really, really killer dude. He has that style, that Anson, that really cool early 80s Fabulous Thunderbirds, or the Anson Funderburgh and the Rockets style. It's just really, really smooth. Jon's a great player. He's one of the greatest players out there right now, a young player. He plays with John Namath. And Jon's going to talk to us about Anson Funderburgh a little bit and give us his take on Anson's playing style and some suggestive listening when wanting to cop some of Anson's licks. So we're going to send it to Jon Hay right now. Check it out. Boom.
Hello, everybody. I would like to start off by saying that it is my honor to be on the riff. I'm a big fan of the channel. I've been watching it for a couple years now, and I've learned so many things from Nick as far as, fixing guitars and maintaining amps and, getting better tone. And I have to thank him so much for helping me put this guitar together. He helped me find this neck for it, this old Jazzmaster neck. And this thing, I've used it as much as possible, and it is definitely my #1 guitar, and it just feels like home to me. So I got to thank you again for that. So yeah, again, it is my honor to be on the channel. I don't take it lightly, and it's very gracious of you to think of me to do this video. So right now I'm going to be talking about the playing of Anson Funderburgh, who is a guitar player, blues guitar player from Plano, Texas, which is a suburb of Dallas. I guess where I'll begin is as far as his influences. Probably his biggest influence was B.B. King, and so if I was to listen to a couple albums of B.B.'s to really get where Anson was coming from as a player, I would listen to My Kind of Blues, which I heard was Anson's favorite album growing up, and probably still is. And then this one over here, this one is called B.B. King Wales, and the first track on it, Sweet Thing, I definitely recommend listening to that. That is one of the best just examples of blues singing, blues guitar playing, horns, everything is just perfect on it. The groove just settles in such a unique way. I love it so much, and I'm sure you guys will too. It's a great track. But anyways, so yeah, I'm going to go into a bit of Anson's style. I guess I'll start off by just playing a little box shuffle or something in C. I'll come in with like just playing the rhythm, and I'll do a couple choruses of some licks or a little solo. So here goes nothing. Couple choruses of like a C shuffle in the style of Anson Funderburgh, and so a couple licks I'll break down for you. A couple things that he does a lot, which you can hear a lot in B.B. King's playing, but he kind of made it his own, which is really cool, and it's definitely a signature style of his. He is a master of tension and release, in soloing too, but in rhythm guitar playing and everything. Master of like making something sound kind of unsettling and then just bring it right back home, So like that was, a bend, kind of a slow bend up on the G string, that's the 10th fret, and that's kind of bending up to the 5 of the chord, of the 1 chord, so the 5 of C would be a G, so so that resolves really nicely because it's kind of a 5-to-1 kind of resolve cadence, as you'd say. So basically what I'm doing there is when I get up to the note, I'm kind of playing the pulse of what the drummer would be doing on the snare drum, really kind of accentuating the feel, like that shuffle feel. And then that last little phrase is just bend up and then bend down and then a pull off and then land on the root. And you can leave it there, back on the root. But what Anson would do a lot is after hitting the root, you would go right back up to that minor third and kind of bend it up halfway, kind of to major. Not quite major, but not just leaving it. You kind of bend it up a bit. And it gives it a really cool sound, again, playing with a lot of that tension and release. It's really got a big emotional impact, especially when someone like him does it, phrases it the way that he does. So like probably the biggest thing to note with his playing, someone like him is a master storyteller in their soloing. He listened to a lot of vocalists like B.B. King and Bobby Blue Bland, Lowell Folsom as a vocalist as well as a guitar player. Also a lot of horn players because a lot of his lines are single note, not really using any double stops. And that's a totally different style, but where Anson's coming from is more that kind of Texas blues, early 50s guitar players and singers with big, with a band of horns behind them, maybe, up to 5 horns. So that was kind of the style I was going for. So I'll keep moving on here. Another cool lick that he does that I really like of his is, I asked him about this one before, and I was like, yeah, that one where you go like this. where you bend up and you kind of slide in. And he said, yeah, it's like pulling the tail on a cat. It's like, wow. And that's just a really fun thing to do. It kind of really just, throws everyone off. You don't really hear sounds like that too much. Definitely makes the thing squeal a bit. And then another thing that he'll do a lot, which I love, is he'll really rub in that root note of the scale, when he's soloing. And just to give it even more impact, he'll with his right hand, he'll accentuate the shuffle beat. Or he'll even just do like straight triplets too. Like that. And then he'll resolve that, in some way. He'll... Or he could go like this. Something like that to kind of bring it home, bring it back to home base, which is around here. So yeah, again, that's another example of his mastery of tension release. And there's so many great things to go into about his guitar playing. Is really one of the most important things is his right hand, his phrasing and stuff, and which notes he's popping out, which notes he's hitting louder, and which notes he's letting pass by a little smoother, Again, all that is just, years and years of listening to vocalists and to guitar players who have mastered phrasing, and that's where someone like him got it, and I'm just getting that stuff from him and trying to figure out where guys like him are getting it from, which is like B.B. King and T-Bone Walker, and where those guys are getting it from. It's kind of an endless rabbit hole. It's really fun. So that's just a few sort of Anson isms, I guess you could say. A couple of licks that he would do a lot, and just sort of his thinking behind them. As far as like, his feel of again, tension release is super important. Phrasing with the right hand is super important. Accentuating bends in a certain way. He can bend up really slow, or it can bend up real quick. And that's all, just kind of based on what's going to tell the story better of the song. So yeah, that's kind of what I have to say about that. Also, that Anson is a huge influence on me. Obviously, as a guitar player, I've studied his styles, so much, really dissected it, and definitely one of the heaviest cats around. And super grateful, super blessed to be able to know him, be friends with him, and he is a even better guy than he is, guitar player. He's such a sweetheart, and the fact that he, looks up to other guys, like to younger players too. He loves that we're carrying on the tradition. People like, viewers watching this, people like Nick, who are really interested in this style of music and this style of playing. And people are really taking it to heart. That really makes them happy. And so I guess I'll leave you with a little shuffle or something. And I'll be signing off, and I'll send it back to Nick. you go. Take care, everybody. Thank you.
So there you go, guys. There was our buddy Jon Hay popping in and giving us a little insight into Anson Funderburgh. All of these players seem to be coming out of Texas, and there are many, many more from Texas. But we'll skip over into Chicago and some areas too, and maybe up in the Northeast. There's some killers out there. But I just wanted to give you guys another Tuesday's Blues video talking about Anson Funderburgh, killer Texas Slayer, with that cool, just chill style of playing that just, it's equally, if you get it, you'll realize how Stevie could do his thing with all of his fire and ferocity and fast notes and blazing playing and intensity. And totally on the other spectrum, the yin and the yang of that, you had people like Jimmy Vaughn, Duke Robillard, Ronnie Earl, Anson Funderburgh, so many other players. Denny Freeman is another one, and Derek O'Brien, all of these guys in Texas, except for Duke. But it was just for everything that Stevie could do, those guys could just go. And the way they would do it, it was just incredible. You know what I mean? So I advise anybody to go check out Anson's stuff, especially in the 80s, early 80s with Sam Myers and all that stuff. Check out Anson Funderburgh and the Rockets. Check out Ronnie Earl. Check out Jimmy Vaughn. Early stuff with the Fabulous Thunderbirds. Ronnie Earl's record, suggested listening, would be Smokin'. It's amazing. And anything Duke did with Roomful is pretty incredible. I hope you guys took some info from this and took a little inspiration and maybe checked out a new artist if you haven't heard of any of these guys I've been talking about today. And we will speak very, very soon, guys. Peace.